Hello and welcome back to our series on the Indian Constitution. If you're preparing for the UPC exams, you know how crucial it is to understand every single part of this foundational document. Today, we're diving into a particularly interesting and often misunderstood section. Part 21, which deals with temporary, transitional, and special provisions. Now, the name itself might make you think these provisions are outdated or no longer relevant, but that's a common misconception. While some parts are indeed temporary and have served their purpose, others contain special provisions that are very much active and politically significant today. So, let's break it down, article by article, to get a clear picture. Part 21 spans from Article 369 to Article 392. We'll start with the temporary provisions. Article 369 is a great example. It gave Parliament the temporary power to make laws on certain matters that were actually in the state list, like trade and commerce. This was a post-partition measure, designed to ensure stability and uniform economic policies across the country for the first 5 years after the Constitution came into effect. It was a transitional tool to help the newly formed nation find its feet. Once those 5 years were up, this article effectively lapsed. It's a historical footnote now, but it shows the foresight of the Constituent Assembly in providing for a smooth transition. Next up, we have one of the most debated articles in the entire Constitution. Article 370. This article granted special autonomous status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It was designated as a temporary provision in the heading, intended to be a bridge until the political situation in the region stabilized and its relationship with the Union of India could be finalized. Under Article 370, the Parliament's power to make laws for Jammu and Kashmir was limited to matters specified in the Instrument of Accession, primarily defense, foreign affairs, and communications. For other matters, the concurrence of the state government was required. This created a unique constitutional setup where Jammu and Kashmir had its own constitution, its own flag, and a different set of rules compared to other states. However, as you all know, in August 2019, the landscape changed dramatically through a series of presidential orders and parliamentary actions. The special status granted by Article 370 was effectively revoked. The state was reorganized into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. This move was legally complex, relying on interpretations of clauses within Article 370 itself to modify it. The Supreme Court has since upheld the abrogation, marking a significant shift in the constitutional history of the region. For your exams, it's vital to understand not just what Article 370 was, but also the legal and constitutional process of its abrogation and the arguments for and against it. Moving on from the most famous article in this part, let's look at the others, which are equally important. Article 371 provides special provisions for the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat. It empowers the president to establish separate development boards for regions like Vidarbha and Marathwada, and Saurashtra, and Kuchi and Gujarat. The idea is to ensure equitable allocation of funds for development and to provide fair opportunities in public employment and technical education for the people of these backward regions. This is done through the governor, who has a special responsibility to ensure these provisions are implemented. Then we have a series of articles from 371A to 371J, which grants special status to several other states, mostly in the Northeast, but also in other parts of the country. These are not temporary. They are special provisions designed to protect the unique cultural, social, and economic interests of the people in those states. Let's quickly run through them. Article 371A for Nagaland is particularly strong. It states that no act of parliament concerning the religious or social practices of the Nagas, their customary law, or ownership of land and resources will apply to Nagaland, unless the state's legislative assembly decides so. This gives the state a high degree of autonomy in preserving its unique identity. Article 371B provides for the state of Assam. It allows for the creation of a committee of the legislative assembly consisting of members elected from the tribal areas of the state. This is to safeguard the interests of the tribal population. Article 371C for Manipur is similar, providing for a committee of members from the hill areas in the state assembly to oversee development and administration in those regions. Then we have Article 371D and 371E, which concern Andhra Pradesh and, after its bifurcation, Telangana as well. These are quite detailed and focus on providing equitable opportunities in public employment and education for people from different parts of the state. They also provide for the establishment of a central university in Andhra Pradesh. Article 371F is for Sikkim. When Sikkim joined the Indian Union in 1975, this article was inserted to protect the rights and interests of the different sections of its population and to preserve its unique laws and practices that existed before the merger. Article 371G for Mizoram is similar to the one for It protects Mizo religious and social practices and customary law. Any act of parliament on these matters requires the approval of the Mizoram Legislative Assembly. Article 371H gives the governor of Arunachal Pradesh special responsibility for law and order. This is a discretionary power, meaning the governor can act without the advice of the Council of Ministers in this specific area, although this power is subject to the President's direction. Article 371I relates to Goa and simply states that the Legislative Assembly of Goa shall consist of not less than 30 members. It's a straightforward provision to ensure a minimum level of representation. Finally, we have Article 371J, which was added in 2012. It grants special status to the Hyderabad-Karnataka region, which now comprises 6 districts in the state of Karnataka. This provision is designed to accelerate development in this historically backward region. It provides for the establishment of a separate development board, reservation in public employment, and admission to educational institutions for people domiciled in this region. This is a recent and important example of how the Constitution can be amended to address regional aspirations and inequalities. So, as you can see, Part 21 is a dynamic and evolving part of our Constitution. It is a toolkit that the framers provided to handle a variety of situations. From the transition of a newly independent nation to protecting the unique identities of various communities and addressing regional imbalances. What's the key takeaway for a UPSC aspirant? First, don't dismiss this part as merely temporary. The special provisions are very much alive. Second, understand the distinction. Temporary provisions like Article 369 had a sunset clause. Transitional provisions helped manage the shift from British rule to the new republic. Special provisions, like Articles 371 to 371J, are designed for the long term, to accommodate the immense diversity of India within a federal framework. For your mains answers, being able to critically analyze these provisions is key. You could be asked about the role of Article 371 in balancing regional aspirations with national integration, or you might need to compare the provisions for different states and explain why they vary. For instance, why does Nagaland have stronger protections than Assam? The answer lies in the specific historical and political context of each state's relationship with the Union. To wrap up, Part 21 is a testament to the flexibility and pragmatism of the Indian Constitution. It shows that our founding fathers understood that a rigid, one-size-fits-all approach would not work for a country as diverse as India. These provisions allow for asymmetry in the federal structure, providing special treatment where necessary to ensure justice, equity, and the preservation of our nation's rich cultural tapestry. Thank you for watching. I hope this detailed breakdown of Part 21 has been helpful for your preparation. Make sure to read the Bare Act for these articles and supplement your reading with standard textbooks. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content to help you ace your UPSC exams. See you in the next video.